Hey, it's Rex Brown, and you're watching ForBassPlayersOnly.com. Check it out. .com. ForBassPlayersOnly.com.
Hi everyone, John Liebman here. You're watching ForBassPlayersOnly.com. Today we are on location in the beautiful new Warwick showroom, Nashville, Tennessee, here for Summer NAMM 2015. We have a very special guest today, Rex Brown. How you doing, Rex?
Doing great, man.
I'm doing great. It's good to see you. There's so much that I want to talk to you about, so much I want to ask you. Pantera. You know, I've got to talk about that a little bit. Obviously, so much has been noted about that and about Dimebag Darrell and all the history and how your songs are still cataloging incredibly well after all these decades. So there's so much on the internet. If anybody wants the whole story and the inside stuff that has been told a million times, that's readily available. But I still want to take this opportunity to talk to you about some of the stuff about the music, the songwriting process with Pantera. Can you talk to me about how you approach that with the other guys?
Well, it was, we all of us wrote everything that Dime would usually have, usually most of the guitar players come in with the major riff. But we would work hand in hand on just about everything or Vinny would come up with the drum part, or whatever the vibe was that we were feeling, or Philip would have this certain riff, or I would come up with the riff. So it was a pretty much equally shared thing. But, Dom and I worked really closely on getting that, what we called the power groove. It was that real, the chunky guitar, and trying to get the bass in the mix was a whole different thing. So we tried every bass in the world, and in fact, at one point, we'll talk about the Warwick thing in a minute, but they had sent me some basses down, and I just couldn't afford them back in the day. We were, anyway. So it was it was a great big roller coaster, and that's what people know me from the best and everything else, and that's part of my history and everything. But times have changed. We have to get down the road, and one foot in front of the other. Two steps back sometimes in this business.
Sometimes, but the band is such an important part of rock history and metal history, and of course Down. You had a good run with that, and Kill Devil Hill. I mean, tell me what's keeping you busy now?
Doing the Kill Devil Hill thing, I had to, I really didn't take a break at all, and I finally unpacked my suitcase about 10 months ago. And so now I know where my socks and underwear are. And, it's just one of those things where you have to get away from it for a little bit, because you're on that road for, in my case, 25 to, I don't want to date myself too hard, but we'll say 20 plus years of constantly touring and bouncing around and trying to raise a family and everything else. And so my whole thing is just, I found this lost riff. I record everything on my phone. I wake up in the middle of the night and have something in my head, or I have a guitar sitting by my bedstand. And so I found these tapes, and I found a bunch of stuff in the cloud. And I'm writing with a dear friend of mine that lives here in Nashville, and here for NAMM, and also have a bunch of guys that are. We're all going to get together here shortly after I feel comfortable with some of the songs and the direction I'm heading, and you'll know about that later on. But it's some cool cats, man. It's and we'll see what happens, But right now for Kill Devil Hill, we've written a few songs, and we have others written. I think we might doing both. It's kind of a juggling act with that. So you need to look at the landscape of what's going on with the scene out there and everything else before you commit to do something like this, because it's a 2-year project. So right now I'm just in the writing mode, man, and that's I want to take a little more time than just being rushed into album. You can get really caught up in that and lose the art form of it, So it's all about expressionism, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And loud basses.
Right on. Well, let's talk about your equipment. I did mention we're in the Warwick showroom, so obviously you're a fairly new artist to Warwick, so let's talk about that.
This has been in the works for 6 months now, and they flew me over and have made me some incredible instruments. And if you can tell which one is mine on the wall, you win one. This white one here.
Tell me about this bass.
This bass is everything about it is hang on, let me get it down here. It's one of those. I took my favorite parts of these other guitars that I was playing, and they're not different parts, but different the way I like the wood and everything else, and the neck. And Warwick has made it to the identical almost to the tone and sound of everything that I wanted in this streamer type bass. I have another Corvette model, and I have a Reverso, which is really super cool, and a Star bass. And I mean, man, the craftsmanship, nobody does it better than these guys. And for me to, when I get these new instruments, man, here comes another riff, you know. So it just, man, it smokes. Sustains for days. All the features on it. Hey, look, the thing lights up. Yeah.
You have a Star bass too in your Warwick collection? Because you don't really strike me as a Star bass kind of guy. What do you play on?
For certain things, because you can get a real solid sound and tone where, you know, the stuff that I'm writing now is more going back to where my roots are, and that's old 70s rock. You know, I grew up in the 70s and all those killer riffs from Kiss to Humble Pie to, I mean, you can go back way on back, even in the 60s. But so I like to have that real chunky kind of sound, and I don't, you know, look, I've hit the metal game, you know, I've nailed it. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of time to get a little bit broader as far as what I'd like to do writing style, you know, writing wise. So the Starbase, I've only had it for a few days, but it sounds exceptional in the studio, and I have all new gear. We'll be launching this about the time this comes out. So all these basses, and also it's an all-in deal with the amps that I've gone over and working really with Celestion, and the amps are going to be smoking. It's going to be unreal. Yeah. So
Well, congratulations.
plenty of gear to get everything going. So
Congratulations, and I'm sure Warwick is happy to have you in the Warwick family. Let's talk a little more about the future, because you touched on it, you hinted, or even more than hinted. But let's talk a little bit more about long term. You've done so much, obviously, and you're telling me about all the riffs that you've been collecting and all the stuff that you have in the works. But what about long term? What else is there something else you'd really like to do that you haven't accomplished yet?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I just do the best I can every day. You know, just be the best dude you could. You know,
You don't have a someday I'm gonna. I've always wanted to.
at a certain point, you know, I'd like to really skydive. No, I'm joking. I don't know. I mean, dude, I've done it all. I mean, I've traveled the world 30 times. I've led 10 men's life in this, you know, in this part. So I'm looking forward to phase 3, and I have it planned out. And I wish I could tell you more about what's going to happen, but I can't really. I don't want to let that cat out of the bag just yet.
Well, you just open it up for a follow-up interview, which we'll be sure to do. Last question, Rex. What would you be if you were not a bass player? Something outside of music. Is it skydiving, or is it something else?
No, I don't jump out of planes. I don't know. I don't know anything else but music, so I never think in that scale. But maybe a caddy on a professional golf tour, because my game's not good enough to play on it. So no, I don't know, man. There's a million things that I would like to do, but you know, whitewater rafting. I mean, you know, be a guide on the Rio Grande. You know, that's all kinds of stuff. That's just, what would you do?
Hey, who's interviewing who? When you get your own website, man, you can
Interviewing you.
Hey, That's right. Well, this is great. I really, we've communicated, we've gotten to know each other kind of, electronically and on the phone and email or whatever, but it's great to be sitting down face to face finally. Yes, that's right. And we are here in the brand new Warwick showroom, Nashville, Tennessee, for Summer NAMM 2015 with Rex Brown. I am John Liebman. You're watching ForBassPlayersOnly.com.